Squats and lunges are often the go-to exercise for people who have knee pain or want to just get stronger in their legs. But there's a really common mistake that you might be making when you do squats and lunges that can actually make your knees feel worse, not better. So in today's video, I'm going to explain what that mistake is, what it looks like, and how you can change it. So hi, my name is Catherine. I'm the founder and principal therapist of LSM Clinic, a sport and remedial massage therapy clinic in East London. In this channel, I share information about how the body works and smarter muscle care so that you can help prevent injury and feel better and hopefully pain-free or as close to pain-free as possible. So if you've had knee pain before, you've probably been told that squats and lunges are really good for strengthening the knee and supporting the knee and strengthening those muscles in the thigh, which it absolutely can be. But honestly, in our clinic, more often than not, I've seen clients who are doing squats and lunges and their knees aren't getting better and they can't figure out why. Or they come in and when I'm like, let's get you doing squats or lunges or both, they're like, oh, I do those and they make my legs feel worse, they make my knees feel worse, right? And the main reason this is because the form is wrong. And I know you're probably thinking, ugh, form, like, okay, but what's going on exactly with the form? So this is what I want to tell you. It's usually that the muscles in your pelvis are not kicking in, they're not active, they're not being recruited. So then the muscles in your thigh are having to overwork to compensate for that lack of stability, and then that can compress the knee more. So if you're not familiar, one of the things that we see a lot is that the muscles in the thigh, like the hamstring, like the IT band, which I know is not technically a muscle, but is fascia, like the quads, vastus lateralis, rec fem, vastus intermedialis, etc., can get tight and they seem to compress the knee, and then that can create knee pain because when we release those muscles, the knee pain goes away. But what happens when you're trying to do squats and lunges and your pelvis isn't stable, those muscles just get tighter and they're still compensating for the lack of activation and stability in the pelvis. Now this is we're usually talking about glute activation, which if you've seen any of my other videos about knee pain or lower back pain or anything with the legs, this is not a surprise to you. But what will happen is the glutes are supposed to be stabilizing the hip, right? The lower abdominal helps to stabilize the pelvis. The glutes stabilizes the leg in the hip. And if you are going into a squat or a lunge and your glute is not firing, it's not kicking in, it's not contracting, it's not working, then you have a very wobbly thigh and all the muscles in the thigh are having to work more than they should to compensate for the fact that the glute's not kicking in. And that is like the short answer of why your squats and lunges are making your knee pain worse, right? Because your thigh muscles are having to work harder than they should because they're compensating for your glutes. But how do you know if your glutes aren't firing? So first of all, it will very much be visible, evident in your form. When you do a lunge, you should be able to keep your lower leg directly straight up and down over your ankle, maybe a tiny bit forward, but ideally we want it straight up and down, and we want your knee at a 90-degree angle. And likewise, we want your torso and your thigh, that hip, to be at a 90-degree angle. If your glute can't support you, and this is in a lunge specifically, you will not be able to keep that 90 degrees, and your body's going to go forward, your knee's going to go forward of your ankle, sometimes forward of your toes, and you're going to feel a lot of work in the quads, and you're not going to feel much in the glute. With squats, it's a little bit trickier because you do have to put forward a little bit. Like you can't be straight up and down like this. You can't have the straight up and down lower leg in a squat because you will fall backwards on the floor. So you do have to let your knee go forward, but what this usually looks like if your glutes aren't kicking in is your knee will go way far forward, like you might even have your heels coming up off the floor, and you think, oh, it's because my ankles don't have enough flexibility or my calves are too tight, but it's actually because your weight is too far forward. Because if your glutes aren't kicking in, your body knows that it can't rely on the glutes to kind of hold its side of it, so then it shifts all the way forward. So then all the weight is coming through the quad, the IT band, the hamstring, mostly quad and IT band, to weight the body instead of being distributed between the two. So if you're really far forward on your squat, that's a sign your glutes aren't kicking in. If you're bending a lot in your upper body, that's also a sign the glutes aren't kicking in. What we will see, again, is people are bending to a certain point, and then they are actually not bending their knees anymore. It's their upper body is going down, and their hips aren't dropping because, again, they don't have that stability. So that's how you can notice in your form if your squats and lunges aren't having the right distribution of work through your muscles. The other thing that's a dead giveaway is that your glutes don't feel sore when everything else does. If you're doing squats and lunges and your quads are sore and your IT band is sore and your hamstrings are sore, maybe your lower back sore, which is a conversation for another video, but you feel nothing in your glutes, it's not because your glutes are like magically stronger than every other muscle in your body. It's because they're not working during that exercise. You may get a very focused, specific point in the middle of the butt cheek, of the glute, of the buttock, but that's usually going to be the piriformis if it's just that one spot. If your glutes are sore, you'll feel it through the whole side of the butt. That's sore. So that is the mistake that is making your knees hurt more after you do squat and lunges, and that's what's going on. Now, what do you do about it? So the best thing to do is first you need to check if your glutes are activating. I have a way to check if you can activate your glutes. I'll link it below in the description. And then you want to check, are your glutes actually kicking in when you're working? Slowly build up, having correct form, but step by step to get yourself to the point where you can go through the full range of movement. So maybe when you're doing a lunge, you can only go down an inch before you start to come forward. So just go down an inch. Or hold on to something that allows you to lean back and encourage your glute to kick in. With the squat, we often tell people squat onto a bench because that allows you to have your weight back a little bit more than you would otherwise. And if you lose your balance and fall, you're going to land on the bench or the arm of the sofa instead of falling on the floor, right? We absolutely can help you with this in a session. So if you're in London or East London, you can come see us. If you'd like more information about how we can help knees, the next video in this playlist, which I will link in the end screen somewhere here, is about how we help knees and our protocol for knee pain. And if you'd like to get more information about how the body works and how you can take care of your muscles, please subscribe, like this video. You can subscribe to our emails below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.